Well, welcome to this episode of Wheel Life, the video diary that helps you to understand what life is like living with an electric unicycle. And this episode is going to be quite special, I hope. And you join me on this episode in the historic town of Stony Stratford, just to the north of Milton Keynes. And I'm standing outside the Cock Hotel. Now, the Cock Hotel is famous for many things, but you will have heard of it before. Now, for one reason, it is because Stony Stratford, back in the 1400s and to the 1800s, was a staging town. People would travel by horse and cart from London. A day's ride north from London brings you to Stony Stratford. And there are a few hotels in the area that became famous, one being the Cock Hotel, a staging hotel. Another one down the road is a hotel called the Bull Hotel. And riders from London would stay in these hotels and tell outlandish stories, trying to outdo each other in their stories of their adventures. And that's what you get as saying a cock and bull story. But the Cock Hotel is also famous for one other thing, because stage riders used to use this as a staging post and ride from here to Banbury, about 25 miles to the west of here. And that's where you get the nursery rhyme, ride a cock horse to Banbury Cross. And that is what I'm going to do today. Okay, I'm not going to ride a cock horse, but I'm going to ride a unicycle. And that's because I've plotted a route from here, the Cock Hotel, to Banbury Cross, and that takes me about 30 miles. Now, I am riding the KS18XL, and reportedly that's got a range of around about 60 miles. I don't know if that's true or not. I've had 60 miles out of it before, but not on a proper ride out. That was really nursing it on little rides. But I'm going to try this morning to see if I can get 60 miles out of one charge of a KS18XL, and I need to try and do it quite quickly. So I'm going to try and average at least 15, maybe 20 miles an hour so I can get there and back in decent time. It is now 20 to 8 in the morning. It's nice and quiet. The conditions are very blustery, very windy. It may well rain, so I want to hit the road and get this done as fast as I can. So the test is, will it make it? If it doesn't make it, I've got no backup. There's nobody here to help me, so I might get stranded in the middle of nowhere. But fingers crossed, from here, the Cock Hotel in Stony Stratford to Banbury Cross and back on one charge, 60 miles on one charge of the KS18XL. Will it do it? Who knows? Let's find out. So I've been gone about 2 minutes and the sat nav is already packed in. So I'm using OS maps, Ordnance Survey maps, to plot a route that takes you not on main roads, and so far absolutely nothing. Looking for GPS. Got a 4G signal, but no GPS. Brilliant. Let's quit that app. Start again. Flipping heck. That's not an auspicious start, is it? Okay, this way. So here is an update. I have just done reported in my ear because I have a Bluetooth speaker inside my helmet linked to my phone, which is linked to Map My Ride. And cleverly, I started Map My Ride when I got out of my car, and I'm just going to leave it running, because what I normally do is I'll pause it now and then I forget to restart it. So I've set it running, and it's just going to go the whole time. That means it's also capturing all the times when I stand still and stop and do filming, and when I was outside the hotel at Stony Stratford. So it's capturing all that as well, but it's giving me an average speed of about 17.9 miles an hour, which is great, because that means I'll be able to do the trip there and back if I can keep that going. I'll get it in about 4 hours, but I don't think I will be able to keep it going because I've done 15 miles, which takes me to the midway point between start and Banbury Cross. But that's only 25% of the journey. This is a quarter of the journey. My app is telling me I've used 30% of my battery. Now the reason for that is, I think, it's because the wind is so strong, and it's a strong westerly wind. And it is blowing so hard that sometimes I'm leaning into the wind and it feels like it's just draining all the energy out of the battery just to get going. So I can't do anything about that. I've only got to hope that the wind is on my back on the way back, and hopefully that helps me to get home, because otherwise I'm going to be pushing this wheel for the last 3 or 4 miles, which doesn't sound like fun to me. So I'm going to keep going. I'm enjoying it. This is the first time I've stopped and got off for 15 miles. Feet beginning to ache a little bit. That's not good, is it? That foot ache we all get. And that's just, I'm not used to riding long distance. I've not ridden a long distance for a long time. I've just been pootling about. But it's good. So back on the wheel, keep going. I've got to keep my speed and keep my times going. It's now coming up to 20 to 9. So I've been going for about an hour, but I've been stopped here for a couple of minutes. Yeah, loving it, all good. Let's get back on it. I had to stop because it's so windy you won't be able to hear me. It's almost blowing me backwards. I've just checked, I've done 22.5 miles and the battery is telling me I've used 50%. Now, I'm going to keep going because that's the challenge. Can I get to Banbury and back? Who knows? I've got no backup, so if I don't make it, I've got to walk the distance back to my car. So I'm hoping that it's because it's the wind, and with the wind on my back on the way back, I'll be okay. But so far it is not looking good. So Kingsong saying you can get 90 miles out of this. What? Okay, I've done 2,000 miles on it, so maybe the battery has got less capacity, but so far I've done 22 miles and used 50% of the battery. So I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to slow my speed down. I was doing about 25 miles an hour, trying to keep my average to about 17, 18, because I keep stopping through things like this and getting lost and looking at junctions and slowing down. So I'm going to slow down to about 20 miles an hour and see if that helps as well. But it's the wind is what is rinsing out. The wind is what is rinsing out. It is the wind which is what rinsing out all the power from my battery. So pick the bones out of that grammatically. Anyway, I must keep going. So I just pulled over. We've got about 5 miles going to the sign, 5.5 miles going to my app to where I need to go in the town. So about 5.5 miles to go to where I need to be to get to Banbury Cross, and I've used over 50% of my battery already. That's 5 miles still to go, so it's looking unlikely. It's looking like I'm going to have to walk for at least 10 miles. I've got at least a 10-mile walk here, at least. But I could turn around and go back now and say, well, it's not going to make it. But no, I'm going to try, because I'm going to try and nurse it on the way back and see if I can get, with the wind on my back and going a bit slower, see if I can make it. So it's not over yet. I've had to stop just to plug my phone in. So added complexity now is my phone is now connected by a cable to a battery on my my backpack, so that's more faff and more fiddle. So the faff is I'm going to be connected by a wire to my bag, and I'm trying to take the phone out all the time to check where I'm going and navigating, and I didn't want the battery on my phone to deplete completely because it's using Map My Ride. I didn't want to screw things up by that dying. So anyway, I'm in Kingsong, I think it's called, and I am going to carry on. Okay, let's keep going. So hopefully you can hear me above the wind, and the good news is I have made it all the way from Stone Stratford, from the Cock Hotel to the Banbury Cross. I'm standing now at the statue of the fine lady upon a cock horse. So that's the good news. The bad news is the lights on my wheel are telling me I've got about 35-40% of my battery left, maybe 30%, and I've got to get all the way back, which is another 30 miles on 30%, which is looking increasingly unlikely. The only hope I've got is that the strong wind that has been my enemy all the way here will be on my back all the way back, and therefore I'll be able to make it. If not, I'm going to have to walk maybe about 10 or 15 miles. I'm going to. So it's now it's now 9:45. So it's taken me 2 hours exactly to get here. But I'm going to go slower on the way back, because if I go at 25 miles an hour all the way back, I'm definitely not going to make it. So I'm going to try and slow it down to about maybe 15 miles an hour. I tried to do that a bit on the way here. It's really difficult to do. You forget yourself and you just start riding quickly. So that's it, 2 hours from Milton Keynes to here, turning around and going back. I've still got about 25 miles to go, just going up a steep hill there. Okay, it's uphill, but the app was saying I've got about 15% left. Just telling me I've done 37.9 miles in 2 hours and 48 minutes. If I can get this to 10 miles to walk, 10 miles? 10 miles is still 3 hours, isn't it? 15 miles, that's not far off. Well, it's more than half a marathon. Flipping heck.